Uncle Giuseppe, the puppet maker in his woodshop, had every tool known to mankind. He has almost everything a person could ever want. A lovely wife, a house. But, yet he was so lonely. Sadly, he and his wife can't have a child. And he wants so badly to have a boy of their own, to teach and love, so he can give it away when he dies. So he decides to make a puppet in his shop out of wood. After 3 long days with all of his tools, spitting out splinters and dust, a wonderful small boy evolves. And he finishes on Christmas Eve, just in time to present to his wife. He is a masterpiece not needing strings, because he has built him with springs and counterweights. He's free to roam, so he is almost perfect. But there is one problem. He has no common sense. He feels small and lonely, so he has the largest problem with telling the truth. He'd rather tell a fib to impress you all, so that you would accept and love him. It's only a fib, he thought. A small, small fib. He wants to be liked and accepted like all the normal children, so he exaggerates a little bit. On everything. His height, how many stations on the internet his TV has, how many friends he has, how big his father's house is. He would do almost anything to be liked and accepted. What's the big deal with stretching the truth, he thought. Jiminy Cricket was his best friend in school. He was watching over him and was not amused. Although he might be a bit too green for most, he would hop all over the place. Mostly Jiminy would make everyone smile because he was so affable. Pinocchio would never judge because he had green skin like that. It didn't get any better than dear old Jiminy. But his Uncle Giuseppe warned him. Every time you tell a lie, your nose will grow. In size. Jiminy would tell him, "Can't you see how large your nose is getting every time you tell a big fat lie, Pinocchio? Your nose is growing immeasurably long. Stop fibbing and telling white lies. All you will have is a very ugly schnauzer, Pinocchio." A fib is a white lie that has wandered. A fib is a truth that took the long way home, forgetting to take several exits, he thought. We'd rather not call it a lie because that might be offensive to some people who like to cut corners and get over, so they left out little things like the truth. Some might call them white lies. A white lie is a chicken's way of hiding, which is essentially a lie. Yet Pinocchio's nose continued to grow and grow, to where none of the girls would ever think of him as a catch. What girl would you know would go out with a nose? All the girls from school were so cute, he thought. So pretty with their braids all wrapped in a bow. They had a checkered pink skirt that seemed to fly in the slightest breezes, and the biggest eyes anyone could ever. Pinocchio tells this very cute girl he's an astronaut flying into deep space while his nose continues to grow. At this rate, he will never become a little man. Pinocchio meets this pretty girl. He was surely dumb and dandy struck at such a beautiful creature. He would do anything to be her friend, anything. But he is hideous, even to talk with her someday when his male buddies weren't looking. Because the last thing he wanted to be known as was a sissy. Pinocchio feels so good on a Friday night, he decides to take off to the local county fair. But Jiminy, his buddy, is fast asleep. So Pinocchio hurriedly decides to leave without his guidance. Pinocchio has earned all of his money from his chores on weekends. He worked so hard. In his excitement, he runs out of the house without Jiminy to guide him. So he runs into Gideon and John the cats, who are up to no good. They want to round up all the lost boys to take them all to Why Not Island. Why Not Island? Where you can do anything and get away with it. You can be as naughty as you want on Why Not Island. You can tell lies all day long, without getting caught or being reprimanded. And they do anything without fail to be the biggest asses one would ever, being loud, obnoxious, rude, cantankerous, lying and making fun of one another endlessly, which would always end up in the worst of ways, stupid fights and sore bodies. But worst of all, Pinocchio's nose would grow forever. No girl would ever find him attractive. Yet again, Pinocchio has no common sense. So he buying tickets for everyone, to be liked. It didn't help the vendors were charging him too much because they all thought he was a bit daft and slow trying to play him as a fool. But not before he gets launched into space on the moon ride. It was so much fun, he thought. But now he is broke and all of his so-called friends have left him without money. Stromboli the simpleton, along with his cat Gideon, sensing an opportunity without seeing Jimmy Cricket around, decides to sell Pinocchio to the circus as an actor with a very long nose like Jimmy Durante, because he is now broke and in need. Pinocchio is so convinced that this is his chance to finally become famous and an actor in the circus. He can't wait and runs to Stromboli, "Where do I sign?" So at the Why Not Island, Pinocchio is a big success, he thought. But what he thinks is acting is really pity because they are all laughing at him, not with him. Pinocchio is clueless and hideous, a big laughing joke. What was seen as magic and fun in the beginning rapidly turns into a nightmare of the dark side of life, of negativity, embitterment, and the lowest common denominator where people are quite strange and cruel. If we want to be ugly, we surely can be, and Pinocchio's is all nose. All he wants is to go back home to Giuseppe, but his nose is too large. His so-called girlfriend leaves him as he is so frightfully looking. To where Pinocchio is so ugly, the ringmaster gets exactly what he wants, and sells him into a lifetime of slavery, part of the circus, where all the boys are turned into donkeys and asses honking, where no one cares about them, and they must work every day of their life, especially weekends, cleaning up dirty bathrooms. Finally, Jiminy Cricket shows up to rescue Pinocchio. But it is too late. The Blue Fairy has sent a message to Geppetto to run off to the 7 seas to find and rescue Pinocchio. In the meantime, Uncle Geppetto, who ran to rescue Pinocchio, has been swallowed by the great whale Monstro and lies in his stomach as a good meal eaten. Geppetto sets fire to the belly of the whale to free himself from the monstrous whale, who sneezes him out in a big K-chew. Having lost his dinner in his anger, Monstro the whale destroys his raft. Yet Pinocchio shows up with the blue dove at just the right moment. And they use Pinocchio with his forever nose as a raft floating on the 7 seas. In this, Pinocchio has proven to the Blue Fairy that Pinocchio is a good boy, that fibbing and lying is bad, that he has learned his lesson, be responsible, to mean what you say, that lying helps no one, that lying makes you look horrible and ugly to everyone, that he deserves to be a normal boy.